have Tunde Kelani in the house. Yes, you heard me right. He's here in the house, and of course, we're here to usher him in. You're welcome to Saturday night.
It's a pleasure for me to be here again and again and again. And you could have just said TK. I know you are
TW.
TW.
TW and TK having a chat. Wow.
Yes.
This is so unprecedented. And
That's
again, I want to let me shake your hands again. I mean, this is the second time shaking.
TK,
It's a good one.
TK shaking TW.
Yes, a pleasure. Wow. You know, you are so simple, so down to earth, so unassuming. So I don't know. I'm just short of words to just explain and interpret the person I'm interacting with.
It's so simple. When you make films again and again, so the whole process, the complex process of making films, and you do it successfully, not once, twice, you couldn't be anything but humble and simple, you know, because chances are that everything could have gone wrong. You could perhaps not have achieved anything, but once you do it successfully, then the experience makes you very humble.
So you would say the filmmaking experience is one thing that has defined your character?
Yeah, I suppose you couldn't be arrogant. It's not possible.
I wish the filmmakers, upcoming filmmakers, would take a cue from him. He's an icon. He's a veteran. And so if he's telling you this is it, then this is it. Wow. It's good to have you. It's really good to have you. Now, TK. Can I call you TK?
Please, everybody calls me TK.
You know, in the African tradition, you have to take permission before you go too casual.
No, it's so simple, you know, because I prefer that, because it makes me less formal. Essentially, that's my role, to create this vision and then let other people, expertise, buy into this vision. And therefore, TK is TK, you know, so it makes, you know, everything, it makes the process very simple. That's why, for me, there's no formality. I'm just TK.
You're just TK. A TK looking younger and younger by the day.
That could be special effects and makeup.
Are you kidding me? Are you telling me you made yourself up now?
Yes.
How?
Do you want me to take my clothes off?
No.
No, please. So let's go into that.
No, but you can tell us. We don't need to have the visual side of it. We can just, you know, we can think it up. We can process it.
I think that again, the process of filmmaking demands that you are physically fit.
Okay.
And not that you are just physically fit. You have to be spiritually fit. You know, you have to arm yourself. You know, you have to arm yourself. You have to arm your brain. You know, and then you are on your feet. You know, so all the time it's important that you are physically fit.
So you go through some kind of physical regimen on a daily basis, or weekly basis, or something.
It started from my younger days. You know, I used to do a lot of sports. I played lawn tennis, table tennis, squash, and things like that. And that, you know, kept me really fit. And not only that, I have a set of stretch exercises that I must do pass on a daily basis.
Whoa.
You know, because you remember, the cameras I work with in those days were really bulky cameras. And then you have to be really fit to work. So till today, I still do press-ups, maybe 40 every morning, and then just some basic stretch exercises. You know, so it's important to be mentally fit. It's important to be physically fit, and so well, you could be spiritually fit as well.
Wow, that's a complete package, you know. That's a complete package. I'll take a cue from you. Yeah, I'll do all of that. I probably. I
think you should try it.
I should try it,
Yes.
Maybe after the program, after the show, will you teach me some more?
Yes. Yes.
Deal?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, TK, you see, a lot of people have heard your name. They know Tunde Kelani. When you talk about filmmaking, the name that comes to mind is TK, Tunde Kelani. But again, you have been very, I don't know if it's calculated, I don't know if it's deliberate, but I don't really see you, we don't really see much of you in the spotlight. You're usually in the background. Is that deliberate, or is it just something that happened by chance?
No, I'm not a star, you know. My role is behind the camera. You know, my role is to identify a story, you know, and then motivate other people to provide their expertise on it. Therefore, there's no reason, there's no way I can compete with the stars, because I'm not a fine boy, you know, and occasionally I've ventured into acting small bits, but that's where I end. So we all have our places. Mine is behind the camera, you know, so.
Who says you're not a fine boy?
You want to compare me with Ramsey Noah, you know, and obviously you know the answer.
They say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right?
TW.
Yes.
You are suddenly getting romantic. And
are you kidding me?
Please don't tempt me.
Anyway, just to tell you that you still look good for your age. How old are you? How old are you?
I'm 65.
65?
Yes.
65?
Yes.
Wow. This is awesome. So in another 5 years, you'll be 70 years old.
Yes, I'll be 70.
And you're still active.
I pray so.
Actively active.
I hope
not
so.
Passively
and
active.
I pray so.
What keeps you going?
You know, I have the greatest passion for my work, and I still believe now that I have the maturity and the experience to make great films, and I think we all need it.
So it's a passion for the job that has kept you. That's your tonic.
Is it a job? You know, it's yes, it's a medium. So I still have stories in my head, and Nigeria has the greatest heritage you could ever dream of. You know, we have the raw materials, and we have the literary resource, and everything from Sahara Desert through Savannah to Atlantic Ocean to turn dreams into reality. And not, you know, talking about the creeks, the lagoon, the ocean. You know, we have the greatest landscape, the plateau, the hills, the mountains, the green. You know, that's a great canvas on where we can make dreams turn to reality.
True. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Before we go too far, let's come back home. Now, I'm sure a lot of people do not know you very intimately, and this is a platform for them to bond. Not that kind of intimacy.
Oh, okay. Fine. Now, let's go.
Not that kind of intimacy. This is an opportunity for you to bond with your fans and those who aspire, you know, to be like you. How did it all start for you? Where are you from for starters?
I am from Abeokuta, Ogun State, but I was born in Lagos.
Born, bred here?
Born in Lagos, but not partly bred in Lagos.
Okay.
You know, because when I was 5 years old, my father shipped me to Abeokuta to live in the family compound with my great-grandparents. Once I left Lagos, I didn't come back until I was an adult. You know, so in other words, started my primary education at the Okeano United Primary School. And if you want to know more about that school, you have to see our film, Mami, you know, because I've documented all that part of my life. And then came out of the primary school and had a 1 year gap to attend preparatory class at the Reverend Kuti Memorial Evening Classes. And then instantly attended the Abeokuta Grammar School. You know, so from the point when I left from age 5, I'm sure I really didn't come back to Lagos until I was after 17 or something like that. Basically, that's how I grew up.
Wow.
And it was interesting because at this time that my interest in photography started, because I had purchased my first camera
by yourself?
By myself in 1960.
Well, you still remember the date?
Oh, of course, that's the date that I left the primary school. It was the date of Nigeria's independence, you know, and the camera was defective. It never worked, but I was really happy to possess it. Yeah, but no, it was not until I started secondary school did I really start photography meaningfully. And by the time I left in 1966, I must have worked with about 4 cameras, you know, which I managed to possess. So basically, you know, it's all tied down to my growing up days.
So when did you have that stint with camera? Apart from the purchase you had, you bought a camera that didn't work. It didn't deter you in any way.
No. It satisfied me because I was conscious that newspapers came with photographs, and I was really interested. And in later years, I was to learn the bylines. I wanted to know the photographers behind it. So this is how I met, you know, saw names like Uncle Peter Obe, Akinde Salu, and Aki Adedayo. You know, that's because I was just looking at who was making the photographs. You know, and I befriended them as soon as I became an adult, and because they've all inspired me, you see.
Could we safely address you or tag you as a traditionalist?
I'm not a traditionalist in that sense. I'm a filmmaker, you know, but tradition is part of me, culture is part of me, indigenous cultural expression is part of me, you know, and so on.
Now, so let's go back to that camera experience, that camera interaction,
that's right,
that first love you had. Can we say it's your first love? Camera, your first love?
Not camera itself, but photography, because the camera is just a tool. I found out that I was defective in certain things. Found out quite early that I couldn't draw at all. Okay. You know, I couldn't. If you ask me to draw a human being and a tree, they will resemble each other. You know, which is really disgraceful, you know, and I tried again to play music. You know, I love music and song, but I couldn't make any. You know, I pestered people who had guitars, you know, they handled it, and I blamed myself, I blamed God, I blamed my parents. How can my finger be so short? You know, is that the reason why I cannot play this instrument? Is that the reason why I cannot do this? But I realized that I had a visual pictorial sense. You know, I read a lot. In fact, my first love is books and literature, because I read everything I came in contact with, you know.
So once you knew you had that perceptive strength,
yes,
you leveraged on it.
Yes.
And you took your time.
Yes.
You saved money, I guess.
Yes. I usually either steal it, you know, or, you know, somehow I could influence people to buy what I needed, you know, at times. You know, because I discovered that the limitation of a human device, like a camera, I say, oh God, if only it could do this, I could. And in my search, I found out, oh yes, I said that it just costs a bit more, and I would devise every means to get it.
Moving on, when you finished your secondary school,
yes,
you moved back to Lagos.
Yes.
And afterwards, what happened?
No, what happened is that I saw my friends. They were going to universities. Some went to HSC, higher school certificate. And for a while, I came back to Abeokuta Grammar School pretending that I was going to go to HSC.
You've been a bad boy, you know.
No, it's okay. But later I realized that that was not my mission. I tried several things, but I wanted to become an apprentice photographer. You know, so I wrote around and finally achieved that. And I was employed at Dr. Kubanjo Studios in Broad Street as an apprentice photographer. Before this time, I'd been a clerk. You know, I worked in several places. I worked at the AJC World Factory as a raw material controller. And I was relatively making money more than, you know, school staff was supposed to be making. But I became an apprentice photographer and I wasn't paid at all. And I tell people who want to be like me, I say, listen, we lived at 22 Abat Macaulay in Ebutimeta. And Dr. Kubanjo Studios is in Broad Street, just after UTC in Lagos, and I used to trek it every morning. I used to trek the Kata Bridge, and you see, I felt very naked when I was, every time I was crossing the Kata Bridge, because my friend knew me and we had enjoyed, we'd gone around together enjoying, and suddenly I would feel any bus that was passing, that people who knew me would see that I was trekking. But I didn't care, but wake up in the morning, cross from 22 Abamakoli, go into Willoughby, from Willoughby cross into Leventis, and continue the journey to Ido, cross the bridge, and branch out at Apogbon, and then go to through Alakoro to get to Broad Street. And I walked it every morning.
For how many years?
For almost a year, So
thereafter?
At that time, it didn't make sense. I lost friends. I lost girlfriends. I lost girlfriends who didn't want to have anything to do with a photographer, and people wanted to be lawyers and doctors and this
engineers.
Engineers. How about this idea of a photographer? I didn't care. But as it later developed, and it was the best decision I could have taken in my life. So it's a journey of sacrifice, denials, and commitment, and so on. On September 20, 1970, I officially entered the grounds of the first television station in Africa, the Western Nigerian Television. And I instantly knew, yes, this is my house. I'm going to die here. Suddenly, I'm among professionals. Suddenly, all the cameras I had dreamt of were right there. At first, just to be in the same room with these great cameras, that was enough for me. The interesting part of it is that they didn't know then that if they didn't pay me, I would stay. So, and I tried to hide this information that, oh God, if these people knew that.
They would take you for granted.
No, not that if they didn't pay me, I won't go, but I was paid. But more importantly, my experience in Western Nigeria in television in Ibadan gave me the greatest foundation you could ever think of, because here was I being tutored and mentored by the greatest African broadcasters you could ever imagine. I wanted to make narrative films for the cinema. So I started to save to go to London Film School. And the fastest way I could do it was to resign from WNTV and join NBC TV here in Victoria Line, these same grounds. Because that way, that move, I could double my salary. And then I moved in to stay with my friend, Taiwo Shajobi, in Isalegogo in Lagos. And again, starting trekking. Again. From Aroloya in Lagos to Race Course, so that I would reduce the bus fare to get to Victoria Island. And I did that for maybe a year or more, where I was saving my salary full to be able to pay for the London Film School training. And I left. And somewhere along the line, the military government nationalized the broadcasting stations. And therefore, everything became Nigerian Television Authority. So that is where the name NTA came from. And I came from London in these same premises, but definitely my journey ended here. Then I had to go out to become an independent filmmaker. Now,
yes, that's the independence you have gotten. I want to ask this question. In your sojourn so far, you have talked about the London School.
Film school, yes.
Film school. Is there any other particular course or professional?
Several.
Several.
Sometimes you do a 2-day course. Sometimes, because I anticipated that if I was because I was, as a filmmaker, I was working in television broadcasting. I'd already today, I'm a beneficiary of the more than 50 years of successful television broadcasting in Africa. you know, and I needed to know more because it's structured in such a way that filmmaking is not science. It's essentially art, but it just demands some scientific knowledge. So I needed to have some more of that knowledge. You know, I went back to what I ran away from in secondary school, physics, you know, and so on. So I did a basic television technology course, you know, in London every Saturday. And I did other courses. You know, you become automatically an associate member of the British Film Institute and the BKSTS, you know, Cinematography Society and so on. And there are courses all the time. You never stop learning, you know, in this journey because you're going to learn forever.
Now, a lot of people within your age bracket would have fallen by the wayside. Some have actually fallen by the wayside. Some have given up. Some have like, okay, well, I have enough to take me through life. But you have kept on at it, learning, you know, trying to like be the best and at least top the range of cinematographers and filmmakers.
No, in fact, it's beyond that. When you look at media, I'm far more interested in media because, as you know, I'm multi-skilled in other areas you don't know.
Please tell us about it.
You know, my journey in life, you could see, came with great technological trends. You know, I'll give you an example. You know, I've told this story again and again, and I don't want to bore people that before I got married, it was important for me to own a telephone. And I knew what I went through to finally achieve it. Finally, one day, the United people came to my boys' quarter one-room apartment and installed my first telephone. And my friend, who's an engineer at United, congratulated me and said, oh, so you are one of those fortunate elites who had telephone, because at that time, there were 500,000 Nigerians who owned telephones. And you can see what has happened within the period of 15 to 20 years, where the tele-density of Nigeria is about 100 million. And how could we be passive, you know, when there's great technological trends?
Wow, how time flies. You know, there's so much more to talk about with you. And of course, thank God for more episodes that will come. So we'll leave the next phase of your life till next week. And so viewers, if you want to know more about TK, that's the one and only Tunde Kelani, be sure to tune in next week as we bring you the concluding part of Saturday Night with Tunde Kelani. Until then, like I always say, be kind to one another. Good night.